All right. You can hear me, right? You can hear? All right. We're in the middle of the principle of beetle, but we'll start from the beginning. That's where you usually have to start. The second line on Kuf Nun Hey. Ukishem shehu bidi ubchira. The same manner as we discussed in the principle of bidi ubchira, of the divine knowledge of the creation, simultaneous with bechira, that the human being in the creation has been pre-known, and yet he has a bechira. He is a full-fledged entity unto himself. Everything that he does, he acts on his own. Similarly, there's even a greater impossibility. Who behabitol, the same thing is reflected in the beetle aspect. Shakol hanivroim betei, atol nivroi betei limar bot. Bottle means now. Mitzad bechinas, because of the union of the principle of tzir koima diak. Tzir koima diak means tzir koima means the description of koima, of the structure. Structure refers to the entire spectrum of all worlds, from the beginning, from the top, all the way down to including Atzilus, all the way to Shasiyah. All that is is perceived and contained in the view of Adam Kadmon. Since Adam Kadmon has that view, and this is where they originate, therefore the principles and the spirit of Adam Kadmon permeates this entire context. This is where they originate. This is where they actually, so to speak, live. And therefore, they are, to begin with, they are created in a state of beetle, of the level of Adam Kadmon. What does beetle mean? Again, beetle means nullification. And we always have to reflect and say we don't mean nullification in terms of non-existence. We mean existence that has a sense of beetle. Existence that is totally, clearly, and completely permeated with a sense of Elokus. Elokus to this Tzir Koima Diak in Adam Kadmon is not as a secondary discovery. This is their primary sense of being. The Elokus that gives them presence. The only moshel we have for this, as we already spoke, is breathing. It is not a fully accurate moshel. Nonetheless, this is the best we have in our orientation. And what is this breathing moshel? Breathing is a necessity for life. And we can identify two aspects, with and without breathing. But without breathing, there is no life. Breathing does not come as an add-on to the human experience. Excuse me, breathing is a primary sense of life in a human being, in this world. To the extent that he's totally unawares, even to the extent he's not aware that he is breathing, as you mentioned this many times. The autumn cadmium is the godly reality that permits to all the existence to be. And thus, it is all contained within this spirit of autumn cadmium. And therefore, they're all bottle. Bottle means self-discounting. They're not conscious of their own being, because their being is supported 100%, is presented, is contained in 100% in this Chiyah Koimediak, as it is known in Odom Kad. As a result of that, you would think it would follow that the entire creation and all that's in it would be cognizant of that which gives them life, which gives them being, presence. And yet, ein ze murgash klal. It is not sensed at all in the Nivroim, in the creatures. This is a phenomenal effect, accomplishment. Something that's created, and not only created, but is given the sense of being from the Odom Kadmon, and they do not at all sense this phenomenon. What do they sense? They sense their own being. As we said before, the best means by which we can relate to this is the phenomenon of breathing, of air. Breathing is something which is a primary, not only necessity, a primary identification of the creation. How do we know if someone is still alive? Is he breathing? What is he breathing mean? Is he still connected to the source of life? And here's important insight that we ought to consider. we are constantly breathing. And that, as you said, is a sign of a cognizance of that we are connected to the source of life. Now, this connection to the source of life might be interpreted, might be understood. From a worldly perspective, we may understand it this way. One feels the lack of air, and therefore he goes back and looks for air. If life were the experience of one's own experience of life, then that is the scenario that would be. He senses that he does not sense his life, therefore goes back to the source of life. But this is not, even on the physical level, this is not the experience that we have in breathing. We seek breath not out of fear of losing it, or out of a sense that we don't have something. To the contrary, we breathe out of a cognizance that this is where life is. And we're drawn to it. This is what we want. Our own life is identified with breathing. This is the beetle element in the entire creation. Even on the physical level. The definition of one's own life is that he is connected to the source of life. Breathing is synonymous with living. Even on the physical level, on the physical arena experience, we have this thing, that the source of life is what we are seeking, not this sustenance of life, and breathing is a source, is a means to sustain life. And I pointed out many times that the experience of breathing is not just the air that we take into our lungs. It is being encompassed by the infinity of air all around us. This is what gives us a sense of our own reality. To demonstrate this, I've said many times, this is an exclamation that a person has when he comes out to fresh air. Ah, fresh air. What's fresh air? He was breathing all the time. This fresh air is the experience of the source of this life. Why is it so? Talking about a physical phenomenon. I'll jump all across and then we'll come back. That'd be easier for us to understand, because we're talking about physical, it kind of eludes us. We have the marshal of the child and the parent. The child receives everything from the parent. But the real effect, the real inspiration, the real strength that the child receives from the parent is not what he gets from the parent. It is from the parent presence. The presence of the parent reinforces, reassures the child of his own being. Not because of the lunch and breakfast that the parents take. The very presence of the parent is what gives the child a sense of reality of his own being. This is why the Torah says, "Kabed asovicha v'simecha." And it says that Hashem likened, he compared kibbut avayim to kvoidoi, to his own covenant. How do you compare that? The principle behind it is that just as Hashem's reality is what gives up, it justifies our own reality, the parent's life, presence, is what justifies our own, it permeates our own sense of life. We pointed out a long time ago, unfortunately, today's day and age, there are all kinds of different confusions, all kinds of different convolutions among human beings and so forth. It is conceivable that a child should lose sense of his own parent. Should forget that he has a parent. That child is at a loss completely. He can't find himself. Now, we'll come to understand the inner from Unbounded. Let's examine this one more time. A child is at the loss of his own self-awareness. If he loses awareness of his parent. Why is that? He is aware of himself. He has himself. The answer is, if you think into it, that the self-awareness that one has is not the self-awareness of being, it's the self-awareness of coming into being. Coming into being is the impact of the divine giving of life. Odom Kadmon, this is where all the entire existence is originally conceived. This existence, this conception of the existence in Odom Kadmon is the divine recognition and an acceptance of the creation. This acceptance of the creation is a constant contribution to the creation. This is what made the creation real. That it has a sense of constantly being, so to speak, in the mind of the creator. This is called Odom Kadmon. Odom Kadmon means the pristine, the original concept of the creation, of existence, of worldly existence. That original concept, consciousness of the creation must be there all the time. Because the creation, the experience of creation is the experience of being in the mind of the creator. Therefore, it should follow that everything that exists should be sensitive to its relationship to its creator and have a sense of the beetle. Beetle means relationship. Beetle, in this case, in self-notification doesn't mean notification after the fact. That his whole being consists in the fact that he is known by the creator. It's expressed in Chassidus, I'm sure everybody can across with that the real truth of consciousness, of existence, is Elikus b'pshitus and olam b'yitzchadshus. Do you know what that means? Not yeah, some know. There is, in our consciousness, there are two levels. There is that which is b'pshitus, and that which is b'yitzchadshus. B'pshitus means that which is taken for granted. Pshitus means simple. I don't need to discover it. The reason I don't need to discover it is because I cannot be oblivious to it. That's there all the time, b'pshitus. In the simplest way. It's not something which is being presented, which comes into being. So normally in our orientation, the world is by b'pshitus. The simplest, our sense of simplest sense of what is there, there's a world. Then we dig deeper into our neshama, and we recognize that the world is really, has a godly spirit behind it. The world is that which is permitted to be by the godly spirit, inspiration. Without the godly inspiration, the world loses completely its sense of being. But that comes to us by reflection and on a secondary level. This is called olam b'pshitus v'lakus v'yitzchadshus. The world is known on the first glance, and the lakus, it comes as a discovery through it. The truth is so, and the truth is, this truth is true even to us if we were to relate and to identify with the way we really know internally. Through on the Shoma knows. Just the opposite. Elokus is Ripshitus. Elokus is something which is not known Bipshitus. It's present Bipshitus. Before knowledge, there has to be something there to know. The something there to know is the Elokus. Everything else that is identifiable and knowable at our intelligence or emotional level is world, is chachus. That's all that is something that comes to me. And thus, it behooves us now to focus in and to kind of draw from our own consciousness. What do we mean by Elokus? At our level, when we first open our eyes, we see world. Therefore, our sense of knowledge, a sense of existence begins from world. So how do we say that Lakus is the first thing? World is what we start with. The answer is that as we open our eyes and we see world only in the context that this is something which is being brought into being. World needs to be brought into being. World is not self-made. This is why when we recognize something in the world, anything, we with our intelligence are constantly seeking, where is the beginning of this? Where is it coming from? How do you know there's a beginning? What you see is the beginning. That you know is not so. What we see is someplace in the middle of its presence. And this middle is being presented by that which is in the beginning. And this is why we have a sense and we look to understand, why is it being presented? What's the purpose of this creation? From the perspective of the creator. Not what do we make of it? What is the sense, what is in the creator's mind, what does this mean to create? As we pointed out, now that we got a full cycle, this is why we have respect for the creation. We think that we sweep our floors and we wash our clothes and we keep everything at the highest sense of respect because of ourselves. Not so. It is due to our respect for the creation itself. because we said the creation is actually the Creator's presentation to us. This beetle, this is the beetle where in the creation there is an inherent awareness or recognition that his presence is not his own, but is being constantly presented, brought to him from Elokus. No matter how many years we experience our existence and existence of the world, it will never make sense to us. Unless we can see that this is a divine creation. As such, it cannot make sense. So this is what the Rabbi is saying. This beetle, this cognizance of non-reality of the world, and that being completely representative of the Creator, is inherent in the creation. And yet, on the third line on Kupnun Nun Hey, Eize Murgesh Klab Nivroi. This is not sense in Nivroi. It's interesting, we just finished discussing that this is something which we can readily understand and recognize. And yet we say, Eize Murgesh Klab Nivroi. This is one of the miracles of the creation of man. The intelligence that the creation has put into the human being is such that he can recognize in his intelligence that which precedes him. He knows not by experimentation. He knows prior to the experiment. So he knows inherently, before any examination, that the Nivroim are bottled to the creation, to the Creator. There is no basis for, there's no presence of Nivroim, but when the fact that they're being created. That he knows in his intelligence. But is a murgosh, but it's not murgosh, it's not sensed. In other words, I'm sorry, but his own, prior to implying to his chokhmah, prior to reflection with the gift of seichel, he is aware of himself first of all. Olam bepshitus. World is bepshitus. As a first base is our world.
Can I ask something?
Yes, sir.
It says in the Mamar that Kishem Shihi Bidiya Bechira, Kemoy Kanihi Bahabitel, Shakalan Avrum, Betailim Etzat Tzir Koyme de Chaken, as a Megash Klab and Avrum. What is it different than we learned before than Idea Bechira? With the same thing as we said before, that everything is from Hashem's knowledge, and we don't sense it, that's why we have Bechira. The same thing we're saying now, the Nevrum are the human beings. So
the inyan from the idea of Bechira and the inyan of the idea of Bitul is the same principle. Except we are presented with the idea of Bechira first, and then we introduced it into the idea of Bitul. Because Bechira is more readily for us, we can readily understand what you're talking about. Once you understand the infinite Bechira, that Bechira is really a divine miracle, you understand that what the truth is, then you can go a step deeper and say that really the very mitzias of the very conscious that you exist is a gift, Milmail. Because the truth is that you're bottle, you're one, that's what we discussed just now, one with the Creator. You're not an entity unto yourself alone. You're constantly being created. Except ain't a mugish when you grow. It is not sent by the Nivroy. This in that it's not mugish when you grow, just as we say b'diba b'chira. Now we're saying Beetle. This is the, so to speak, the divine intent in giving the creation a sense of being.
Before we said before.
Statement again, it's the divine intent.
That to give the Nivroim a sense of their own being. So that when they discover that there is a creator, it's a real discovery. They know the creator with their own sense of intelligence. That's a gift.
Before was being said Hayedim Evdelas Be'erech, and now it's being said that Einzel Murgash Klauben Evrom. Is that the same?
No. You're mixing two different things completely. The saying that Einzel Murgash Klauben Evrom is due to the fact that the idea is Berichuk.
That's what I'm saying. But
Einzel Murgash is talking about how it affects the Nivroim. Then we were talking about how it is by the Nivroim.
Because the idea is Mevdeles Be'erech, that's why the Nevrum are not Mirgish that, Amargish that. That's why we have Bechira, no?
Yes. Yes. I just want to finish Baruch one second. We phrase things and we get the wrong implication. The divine knowledge is not Mugish and Nivroim. As a result, the Nivro has Bechira, or the Nivro is in its own consciousness and Mitzias, doesn't sense the people. This inyan that Eze Mugish Klab and Nivroim is not, I hope I can present this, is not the definition of the truth as it is. This is just a means how it is presented to us, how to make it possible that we should have it. Eze Mugish Klab and Nivroim is just so the Nivra would be self-conscious, would be aware. But this is not how he's being created. He's being created completely by the divine knowledge. The year that Einzel Murgish Ben Ibrahim is due to the superiority that this is moved us and beherach. That's why it is not Murgish Ben Ibrahim. But in reality, it is created because of this knowledge. This is what makes it big. Baruch Yukton. I'm sorry.
No, you said a few times, this is a miracle. This is a miracle. In other words, rather than seeing Leib and Morgash wow as a negative, it's actually a miraculous positive gift that the Eibishter creates us in such a way that this bittul is not the Morgash, because if it were, we wouldn't have any consciousness at all.
That's right.
Is that correct?
Yes. This is why, I mentioned many times, there is not another creation that Hashem created that he announces first, I'm going to do such and make such and such. Except by the human being. Because every other creation, the sun, the moon, and everything, fits in with the worldly context. It makes sense in the world there should be a sun and a moon and a stars. The human being is a misfit in the world. This is why the Rebbe said, I'm going to create something that is completely unique. It's not, doesn't belong in the world. It's going to be my presence in the world. But Tza'amenik it Museinu. And this Tza'amenik it Museinu is going to be the supreme being in this world. He can never fit with the world process. He will become part of the world. He's going to be here. He's going to be the ruler in the world. That's his position. This is why this has been presented to the world with a pre-planning aspect. It's because this is not part of the normal process of creation of the world.
So can you say, Rabbi Pamphil, just that the world is the pshutus and the likus is conscious, human being is also his conscious.
That's right. The human being was given the capability in his intelligence, in his chokhmah, to recognize the truth as it is. That the likus is b'pshitus. The human being has the capacity to recognize and to actually function in the world as a divine creation, not as a worldly presence. This is what I said before, that it's a natural thing in human being to be respectful of the creation, of the things that he is dealing with. This respect is not reflective of self-respect. He has to have a clean house. This respect because this house represents the world that the Rebbe created. He has respect for the existence itself. When we see a destroyed house, when we see a rotting tree, it bothers us. Why does it bother us? The tree is rotting. Because it's misrepresenting the truth. It's out of whack. Okay. Time is up, I'm told.